Property Pulse, the industry insider's view of the real estate market.
On Dubai Eye 103.8.
And at this time every week, we do turn our attention to the property market. This morning, we're talking about consolidation and growth in the industry itself. Our friends from Property Finder are acquiring JRD Group, which has a property portal all of its own. In the studio to explain why and how and it's all going to work and what it means for the people looking to buy a house at the other end, we have Michael Lahyani, who's the founder and CEO of Property Finder, and Alex Nicholas, who is the co-founder and CEO of JRD Group. So effectively speaking to both ends of the deal here. Gentlemen, it's lovely to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Let's actually kick off speaking to you, Alex, because we know Property Finder well, but JRD maybe a little bit less well. Do you want to tell us about the assets that are being acquired here?
Yes, sure. So JRD Group has two main parts to its business. We have a property portal called justproperty.com, and we also have a enterprise software product called Propspace.com, which is used by brokers, property managers and developers throughout the UAE and in the MENA region.
So, Michael, why did you want these?
Well, we operate in the same space. We have the same philosophy. We want to serve the real estate industry and we want to offer a better user experience to the users in their home journey. And so it makes sense to join forces in order to do this better rather than competing with each other. I've known the founders of JRD for quite some time, and this is a deal we've been working on for a while.
Actually, give us a bit of an insider's view here. How long does it take to put a deal like this together?
Well, the first conversations, started years and years back. And, when you're two founders building your own product, you're not necessarily thinking that you want to sell your business. So it takes a bit of time. And since we kind of shook hands, I would say maybe 9 months until the deal gets closed.
And what needs to actually happen to bring the two of you together? I mean, you shake hands, money is exchanged, contracts are signed, that's all great. But what actually happens in practice?
So after the deal, you mean?
Yeah. How are you going to merge the two?
So we decided that we're going to keep the products, right? So we're keeping justproperty.com and we're keeping, obviously, Propspace, which is one of their core technology product. They will stay in they will remain in the office. So we're not merging actually the two offices immediately, but we're aligning the products. So rather than developing competing features, we're actually aligning there. And down the line, we're probably going to get and end up all in one office, but this is not the immediate goal.
And Alex, 10 years in the making for JRD. What's it like sort of handing over the reins of what essentially is another child for you, your baby?
Yes, that's exactly what one of our clients actually said to me the other day. Alex, should I be happy or a bit sad you've sold your baby? Well, the answer is obviously extremely happy and proud that we've got this achievement. It was a difficult decision, but I think in the latest rounds of discussions with Michael, as he said, we've known each other for many years, been fierce competitors, but also really respectful competitors, and we've always kept the lines of communication open. And the decision this time was it just felt right that rather than competing together, let's put the two companies together. We're part of a much bigger group now, and it gives us at JRD Group the opportunity to really focus on developing our products even further at a quicker pace than what we've been able to do so far.
Michael, why are you keeping justproperty.com up and running as justproperty.com? I mean, some people would see that as competition for you. Tell me about the decision.
So justproperty.com has an audience and a different audience than Property Finder. It has great organic traffic and the brand is known, so people do log on the website. And on the other end, real estate brokers like to have a choice. They like to be able to advertise on more than just one portal, and today they can do that within the Property Finder group.
And I would add to that, it's actually in the US, the number one portal also merged and bought the number two portal, but they kept both brands separate to give, as Michael said, consumers a choice. They're different products with different audiences. And that's our plan going forwards with these products.
And people have loyalty. It doesn't matter if they're one in the same company now. In some ways, they will have a relationship with the brand, whichever one it might be. They will continue to use that as a preferred choice. So you don't want to get rid of that, I assume.
Exactly. And both products have different features. So we have different development teams. We have different ideas. I think it's good that we can keep both products and both innovate at the same time to give the wider audience, our buyers and renters of property in the UAE, as much choice as possible.
Let's talk about what this means for those of us on the other end of your acquisition, the people who are using your portals, whether we are landlords or whether we are tenants. What's it going to expose us to?
Tenants that are looking for property are not going to see much of a difference. The two portals are still going to be available, like we said earlier. On the customer sides, whether it is the developers or the real estate brokers, they will see a better integration between the JRD Group products and the Property Finder portal. So it's a smoother experience for the customers.
And I understand that one of the products that you've got there, Alex, is actually helping tenants to live in their buildings comfortably.
Yes, that's correct. One of our products, Propspace, we recently launched a new module on that software for property management companies, which allows a company that manages a building or a property on the behalf of a landlord to take care of their daily activities all online. Now, part of that is a tenant's portal that comes with the software, and it's free of charge for tenants to log in and be able to raise maintenance requests, be able to see when their tenancy is up for renewal, see when their next payments are due, see how much they may have to pay for any pending service requests. And it's something that currently is only really offered by the largest developers out here in the UAE. But there's so many mid-size property management companies or developers that don't currently have a software in place that allows them to manage their business. And that's what we've developed at Propspace.
So, very user-friendly, centralised information. If I can just ask you both, I'll start with you, Michael, perhaps first on this. I host a show on Saturdays called Starting Up. It's alongside Virtuoso, and we're encouraging entrepreneurs in the region. And the idea is you set up a company, you have a startup, and someone like Property Finder comes along, Michael, and decides to merge or take you over. Now, what does someone like you look for in a business? JRD, obviously, you've known each other, you've known Alex and the way he works for a long time. But anyone listening to this is thinking, hang on a second, if I come up with a great business idea, I could end up being bought.
So the first thing we look at is sustainable business. So a founder should never build a business to sell it. They should build a business because they want to actually offer a great service or a great product. So that's the first thing we're going to be looking at. And then we're going to be looking at founders typically that are friendly and that will fit our culture. Normally, when you're in a position to acquire companies, it's usually because business is good. So you never have to do an acquisition. So if you're going to do an acquisition, you want to do it with people that you appreciate, that you want to work with, and that will fit your vision. And so it's important that founders don't think that they're ever a necessity for a company, but that they act as well as friendly entrepreneurs.
And Alex, from your side of things, you set up a company, as Michael says, with all the right intentions because you believe in the product, you believe in what you're doing. At what point does that turn? Do you think perhaps this might be a good time for me to exit?
I think you have to look at the market and how it's going at any given point in time. For us, it was a decision: do we continue competing and maybe don't grow as much as we'd like to, or do we decide is it better for actually both businesses to come together and grow stronger together? And that was the decision we made with this deal.
Well, it's not just great for you. It's also good for your shareholders because you had people who had invested in you previously, who are now exiting their investment. And that's the other part of the puzzle, isn't it? It's showing people, whether they're angel investors, whether they're a investment company, sort of what area of that space that they fit in, even some of the incubators and accelerators that we've got here in the UAE, that there is the ability to not only invest in, but also to exit a startup.
Exactly. I think that's important. And we've seen that in a lot of other deals that have happened recently in other industries in this region. So, yes, we're extremely happy, and our first investors are happy. They've got a return on their investment, and now JRD Group can move on to the next chapter, which is growing even stronger and bigger as part of a much bigger network, the largest property technology network, which is Property Finder Group.
Speaking of getting bigger, this isn't the only deal that you've been signing recently, Michael, because you're also increasing your stake in a Turkish portal. What's the strategy?
So we believe strongly in Turkey. It's a very large economy. Yes, of course, it's gone through a little bit of a bumpy road in the last couple of months, years, but the 80 million population of Turkey is going to continue growing. And
but the bigger strategy for you, geographical expansion, where else are you looking?
So right now we're focusing on what we call MENAT, which is Middle East, North Africa, and Turkey. We are not really looking beyond those markets. What we want to continue doing is building number one players in each one of those markets. So in Turkey, we're not a number one player yet, but this is a very fast-growing portal, and we have all the consideration in the world to become a number one player over there. So we're going to continue investing in that business. And then other markets like Egypt and Saudi as well, where we're investing also in order to continue building our brand in those markets.
Is that going to be your own organic growth, or could we see another acquisition in Saudi Arabia, for example, or the Gulf?
Look, the challenge here in the region is that there aren't that many companies to acquire. So if it makes sense and if the company has market shares, and like I said earlier, the founders are people we want to work with, I think that's very important, then we would obviously consider it. We're not opposed to. You can grow faster by acquiring and give a better service to your customers quicker rather than focusing on the competition. So yes, we could be acquiring more companies if that happened.
Oh, there you go. You heard it here. Michael Lahyani, founder and CEO of Property Finder, and Alex Nicholas, co-founder and CEO of JRD Group. Thank you both very much for joining us on the Business Breakfast Property Pulse this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Property Pulse, the industry insider's view of the real estate market.
On Dubai Eye 103.8.